Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Magnanatimirandasya Gyananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Darati Swaparantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganalalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Dibo. Hare Krishna, Prabhu Standard Pram, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Vivek Prabhu, you can continue from this part.
Yes, Prabhu.
Dibo.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. On the day of extracting the so much juice, King Yudhishthira very respectfully received the special priest who had been engaged to detect any mistaken in the formalities of sacrificial procedures. The idea is that the Vedic mantras must be enunciated perfectly and chanted with the proper accent. If the priests who are engaged in this business commit any mistake, the checker of referee priest immediately corrects the procedure, and thus the ritualistic performance are perfectly executed. Unless it is perfectly executed, a sacrifice cannot yield the desired result. In this age of Kali, there is no such learned brahmana or priest available. Therefore, all such sacrifice are forbidden. The only sacrifice recommended in the Shastras is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Another important procedure is that the most exalted personality in the assembly of such a sacrificial ceremony is first offered worship. After all arrangements were made for Yudhishthira's sacrifice, the next consideration was who should be worshipped first. Who should be worshipped first in the ceremony. This particular ceremony is called Agra Puja. Agra means first, and Puja means worship. This Agra Puja is similar to election of the president. In the sacrificial assembly, all the members were very exalted. Some proposed to elect one person as the perfect candidate for accepting Agra Puja, and others proposed someone else. When the matter remained undecided, Sahadeva began to speak in favor of Lord Krishna. He said, Lord Krishna, the best amongst the members of the Yadu dynasty and the proprietor of his devotees. He is the most exalted personality in this assembly. Therefore, I think that he should become any objection be issued without any issued without any objection be offered the honor of being worshipped first. Although demigods such as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, and the King of Heavens, heavenly planets, and many other exalted personalities are present in this assembly, no one can be equal to or greater than Krishna in terms of time, space, riches, strength, reputation, wisdom, renunciation, or any other consideration. Anything which is considered opulent is present originally in Krishna. As then, individual soul is the basic principle of the growth of his material body. Similarly, Krishna is the super soul of this cosmic manifestation. All kinds of Vedic ritualistic. Okay, all kinds of Vedic Vedic ritualistic ceremonies such as performance of sacrifice, the offering of obligations in the fire, and the chanting of the Vedic hymns and the practice of mystic yoga, all are meant for realizing Krishna, whether one follows the path of fruitive activities or the path of physiological speculation. The ultimate destination is Krishna. All bona fide methods of self-realization are meant for understanding Krishna. Ladies and gentlemen, it is superfluous to speak about Krishna because every one of you exalted personalities known the Supreme Brahma, Lord Krishna, for whom there are no material difference between body and soul, between energy and the energetic, or between one part of the body and another. Since everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna, there is no qualitative difference between Krishna and all living entities. Everything is an emanation of Krishna's energy. The material and spiritual energies. Krishna's energies are like the heat and the light of the fire. There is no difference between the quality of heat and the light and the fire itself. Also, Krishna can do anything he likes with any part of his body. We can execute a particular action with the help of a particular part of our body, but he can do anything and everything with any part of his body. And because his transcendental body is full of knowledge and blessed in eternity. Sorry, eternity. He doesn't undergo the six kinds of material changes: birth, existence, growth, fruitive action, dwindling, and vanishing, unforced by any, unforced by, where is that? Unforced by the unforced by any external energy. He is the supreme cause of the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of everything that be. By the grace of Krishna only, everyone is engaged in the practice of religiousness, the development of economic conditions, the satisfaction of the senses, and ultimately the achievement of liberation from material bondage. These four principles of progressive life can be executed by the mercy of Krishna only. He should therefore be offered the first worship of this great sacrifice, and no one should disagree, as by watering the root, the watering of the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers is automatically has accomplished, or as by supplying food to the stomach, the nutrition and metabolism of the all parts of the body are automatically established. So, by offering the first worship to Krishna, everyone present in this meeting, including the great demigods, will be satisfied. If anyone is charitably disposed, it will be very good for him to give in charity only to Krishna, who is the supreme soul of everyone, regardless of his particular body or individual personality. Krishna is there as the super soul in every living being, and if we can satisfy him, then automatically every being becomes satisfied. Sahadeva was fortunate to know of the glories of Krishna, and after describing them in brief, he stopped speaking. After this speech was delivered, all the members present in that great sacrificial assembly applauded. Conforming. 1 minute, Prabhu. My call is coming. 1 minute. Yes, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu. Sorry. Confirming his words continuously by saying, everything that you have said is completely perfect. Everything that you have said is completely perfect. King Yudhishthira, after hearing the confirmation, confirmation of all present, especially of Brahmanas and learned sages, worshipped Lord Krishna according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. First of all, you King Yudhishthira, King Yudhishthira, along with his brothers, wives, children, or other relatives and ministers, washed the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and sprinkled the water on their heads. After this, Lord Krishna was offered various kinds of silken garments of yellow color and heaps of jewelry and ornaments were presented before him for his use. Anyone wants to read through?
I think Bhaktajat is outside and Dharani Prabhu.
Hi, बोल
Prabhu.
जति Namdat
Krishna,
Pranam, Jai
Krishna,
Shri
Krishna,
Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
I am outside, Prabhu. I don't want to read. There is too much noise around me. Thank you
It's
for
okay,
reading,
Prabhu.
Vivek Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Pretty nice, Prabhu. Haribol.
Prabhu.
Okay, I can read one page.
Yes, Prabhu.
King Yudhishthira felt such ecstasy by honoring Krishna, who was his only lovable object, that tears glided down from his eyes, and although he wanted to, he could not see Lord Krishna very well. Lord Krishna was thus worshipped by King Yudhishthira. At that time, all the members present in that assembly stood up with folded hands and began to chant, Jai, Jai, Nama, Nama. When all joined together to offer their respectful obeisances to Krishna, there were showers of flowers from the sky. In that meeting,
Correction, Prabhu.
yes,
Prabhu, can I read for one page, another one page? Because
yes,
I have
Prabhu.
to pick my father from
Yes, Prabhu.
distance.
Okay.
So
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
I will hear, but I am driving, so I can't able to like read. So I
Yes,
can
Prabhu.
read and I can go firstly.
Yes,
Okay. In that meeting, King Shishupala was also present. He was an avowed enemy of Krishna for many reasons, especially because of Krishna's having stolen Rukmini from the marriage ceremony. Therefore, he could not tolerate such honor to Krishna and glorification of his qualities. Instead of being happy to hear the glories of the Lord, he becomes very angry. When everyone offered respect to Krishna by standing up, Shishupala remained in his seat. But when he became angry at Krishna's being unhonored, Shishupala stood up suddenly and raising his hand began to speak very strongly and fearlessly against Lord Krishna. He spoke in such a way that Lord Krishna could hear him very distinctly. Ladies and gentlemen, I can appreciate now that the statement of Vedas that after all, time is the predominating factor in spite of all endeavors to the country. The time elements executes its own plan without opposition. For example, one may try. Oh, okay, 1 minute, bro. Oh, no. Time elements executes its own plan without opposition. For example, one may try his best to live, but when the oh, Krishna. When the time for death comes, no one can check it. I see here that although there are many stalwart personalities present in this assembly. The influence of time is so strong that they have been misled by the statements of a boy who has foolishly spoken about Krishna. There are many learned sages and their persons present, but still they have accepted the statement of a foolish boy. This means that by the influence of time, even the intelligence of such honored persons or has present in this meeting can be misdirected. I fully agree with the respectable persons present here that they are competent enough to select the personality who can be first worshipper. But I cannot agree with the statement of a boy like Sahadeva, who has spoken so highly about Krishna and has recommended that Krishna is fit to accept the first worship in the sacrifice. I can see that in this meeting there are many personalities who have undergone great austerities, who are highly learned and who have performed many penances. By their knowledge and direction, they can deliver many persons who can suffering from the pangs of material existence. There are great rishis here whose knowledge has no bounds, as well as many self-realized persons and brahmanas also. And therefore, I think that any one of them could have been selected for the first worship, because they are worshipable even by the great demigods, kings, and emperors. I cannot understand how you could have selected this coward boy Krishna and how left aside all these other great personalities. I think Krishna to be no better than a crow. How can he be fit to accept the first worship in this great sacrifice? Prabhu, you can continue. I can hear. I have to take. Sorry, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Try carefully, Reborn.
So, I can hear. I can while driving. You can read.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
We cannot even ascertain as yet to which caste this Krishna belongs or what his actual occupational duty is. Actually, Krishna does not belong to any caste, nor does he have to perform any occupational duty. It is stated in the Vedas that the Supreme Lord has nothing to do as his prescribed duty. Whatever has to be done on his behalf is executed by his different energies. Shishupala continued. Krishna does not belong to a high family. He is so independent that no one knows his principles of religious life. It appears that he is outside the jurisdiction of all religious principles. He always acts independently, not caring for the Vedic injunction and regulative principles. Therefore, he is devoid of all good qualities. Shishupala indirectly praised Krishna by saying that he is not within the jurisdiction of the Vedic injunction. This is true because he is the supreme personality of Godhead. That he has no qualities means that Krishna has no material qualities, and because he is the supreme personality of Godhead, he acts independently, not caring for conventions or social or religious principles. Shishupala confirmed. Under these circumstances, how can he be fit to accept the first worship in the sacrifice? Krishna is so foolish that he has left Mathura, which is inhabited by highly elevated persons following the Vedic culture, and he has taken shelter in the ocean, where there is not even talk of the Vedas. Instead of living openly, he has constructed a fort within the water and is living in an atmosphere where there is no discussion of the Vedic knowledge. And whenever he comes out of that fort, he simply harasses the citizens like a dacoit, thief, or rogue. Shishupala went crazy because of Krishna's being elected the supreme first worship person in that meeting, and he spoke so irresponsibly that it appeared that he had lost all his good fortune. Being overcast with misfortune, Shishupala continued to insult Krishna further, and Lord Krishna patiently heard him without protest. Just as a lion does not care when a flock of jackals howl, Lord Krishna remained silent and unprovoked. Krishna did not reply to even a single accusation made by Shishupala. But all the members present in the meeting, except a few who agreed with Shishupala, became very agitated, because it is the duty of any respectable person not to tolerate blasphemy against God or his devotee. Some of them, who thought that they could not properly take action against Shishupal, left the assembly in protest, covering their ears with their hands in order to fear further accusation. Hear further accusation. Thus they left the meeting condemning the action of Shishupala. It is the Vedic injunction that whenever there is blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one must immediately leave. If he does not do so, he becomes bereft of his pious activities and is degraded to the lower condition of life. Hmm. All the kings present belonging to the Kuru dynasty, Matsya dynasty, Kekaya dynasty, and Srinjaya dynasty became very angry and immediately took up their swords and shields to King Shishupala. Shishupala was so foolish that he did not become even slightly agitated, although all the kings present were ready to kill him. He did not care to think of the pros and cons of his foolish talking, and when he saw that all the kings were ready to kill him, instead of stopping, he stood to fight with them, and took up his sword and shield. When Lord Krishna saw that they were going to engage in fighting in the arena of auspicious Rajasuya Yagna, he personally pacified them. Out of his kindness mercy, he himself decided to kill Shishupala. When Shishupala was abusing the kings who were about to attack him, Lord Krishna took up his disc, which was as sharp as the blade of a razor, immediately separated the head of Shishupala from his body. Hmm. When Shishupala was thus killed, a great roar and howl went up from the crowd to the assemble. Taking advantage of the disturbance, the few kings who were supporters of Shishupala quickly left the assembly out of fear of their lives. But despite all this, the fortunate Shishupala the fortunate Shishupala's spirit soul immediately merged into the body of Lord Krishna in the presence of all members, exactly as a burning meteor falls to the surface of the globe. Shishupala's soul's merging into the transcendental body of Krishna reminds us of the story of Jaya and Vijaya, who fell for the material world to the material world from the Vaikunta planets upon being cursed by the four Kumaras. For their return to the Vaikunta world, it was arranged that both Jaya and Vijaya, for 3 consecutive births, would act as deadly enemies to the Lord, and at the end of these lives, they would again return to the Vaikunta world and serve the Lord as his associates. Although Shishupal acted as the enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness. He was always absorbed in thought of Krishna, and thus he got first the salvation of Sayujya Mukti, merging into the existence of the Supreme, and finally became reinstated in his original position of personal service. The Bhagavad Gita corroborates the fact that if one is absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Lord, at the time of death, he immediately enters the kingdom of God after quitting his material body. After the salvation of Shishupala, King Yudhishthira rewarded all the members present in the sacrificial assembly. He sufficiently remunerated the priests and the learned sages for their engagement in the execution of the sacrifice. And after performing all this routine work, he took his bath. This bath at the end of the sacrifice is also technical. It is called the Avabrita bath. Lord Krishna thus enabled the performance of the Rajasuya Yagna arranged by King Yudhishthira to be successfully completed, and being requested by his cousins and relatives, he remained in Hastinapura for a few months more. Although King Yudhishthira and his brothers were not willing to have Lord Krishna leave Hastinapura, Krishna arranged to take permission from the king to return to Dwaraka, and thus he returned home along with his queens and ministers. The story of the fall of Jaya and Vijaya from the Vaikuntha planets to the material world is described in the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The killing of Sishupala has a direct link with that narration of Jaya and Vijaya. But the most important instruction that we get from this incident is that the Supreme Person of Godhead, being absolute, can give salvation to everyone, whether one acts as his enemy or as his friend. It is therefore a misconception that the Lord acts with someone in the relationship of a friend and with someone else in the relationship of an enemy. His being an enemy or a friend is always on the absolute platform. There is no material distinction. After King Yudhishthira took his path after the sacrifice and stood in the midst of all the learned sages and brahmanas, he seemed exactly like the king of heaven, and thus looked very beautiful. King Yudhishthira sufficiently rewarded all the demigods who participated in the yagna, and being greatly satisfied, all of them left praising the king's activities and glorifying Lord Krishna. When Shukadev Goswami was narrating these incidents of Krishna's killing Shishupala and describing the successful execution of the Rajasuya Yagna by Maharaj Yudhishthira, he pointed out also that after the successful termination of the Yagna, there was only one person who was not happy. He was Duryodhana. Duryodhana, by nature, was very envious because of his sinful life, and he appeared in the dynasty of the Kurus as a chronic disease personified, in order to destroy the whole family. Shukadev Goswami assured Maharaj Parikshit that the pastimes of Lord Krishna, the killing of Sisupala and Jarasandha, and the releasing of the imprisoned kings are all transcendental vibrations, and anyone who hears these narrations from the authorized persons will be immediately freed from all the reactions of sinful activities of his life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 19th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Sishupala. Haribol.
Haribo. Very nice, bro.
Okay, maybe we can read one more.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay, then the chapter 20. Why Duryodhana felt insulted at the end of the Rajasuya sacrifice. King Yudhishthira was known as Ajata Satru. Is it like that? Ajata Shatru, or a person who has no enemy. Therefore, when all men, all demigods, all kings, sages, and saints saw the successful termination of the Rajasuya Yagna performed by King Yudhishthira, they became very happy. That Duryodhana alone was not happy was astonishing to Maharaj Parikshit, and therefore he requested Shukadev Goswami to explain this. O Hare Krishna Bank Prabhu Dandat Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Prabhu,
Bang
Krishna
Prabhu, Don't Pranam, Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna Prabhupada.
Haribol Dibong Prabhu. Jai Shri
Prabhu.
Prabhupada. Prabhu.
Mahabharat Prabhu.
The chapter is about Mahabharat, Prabhu. It's about Duryodhan when he falls in the water, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, I can see about the Raja. What do you call it, Raja? What sacrifice? It is
Yeah, now
after
it's
the war.
done.
Yes,
Now
Prabhu.
it's done.
Yeah, now they just did it. And yes,
Oh,
Prabhu.
they just did the sacrifice, ne?
Yes, Prabhu. You can read,
And I
Prabhu.
remember Duryodhan was jealous about it because no
Yes,
one
now
could
he's
do that.
jealous. See,
Yes,
Duryodhana by
Prabhu.
nature was very envious, and he was like
Oh, yes,
chronic disease personified in order to destroy the whole family.
yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I see.
Yes, Prabhu, you can read from this part. Haribol.
Haribo, you hijacked me, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
How many pages, Prabhu? No, I like to know the. Or is it a million?
What, Prabhu?
I was saying how many pages left? Or is it a new chapter?
Oh, yes, Prabhu, new chapter.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, why Duryodhan felt insulted at the end of the Rajasura sacrifice? Yeah, that sacrifice, Prabhu. That I think the kings were needed to be released, eh? After killing the is it Jarasandha?
Yes, they are released already.
Oh, they're released. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
King Yudhishthira, okay. King Yudhishthira was known as Ajanta Satru, Ajata Satru, or a person who has no enemy. Therefore, when all men, all demigods, all kings, sages, and saints saw the successful termination of the Jarasuriya Yagya, performed by King Yudhishthira, they became very happy. That Duryodhana alone was not happy was astonishing to Maharaj Parikshit. Prabhu, does this book talk about, Anna, who do you call this guy? Duryodhana's favorite uncle, Shakuni. Or they haven't?
Maybe he's mentioned at some part, but I don't remember if it's
Okay.
the Krishna book.
Okay, Prabhu. Maharaj Parikshit, I was there. And therefore, he requested Sukadev Goswami to explain this. Sukadev Goswami said, "My dear King Parikshit, your grandfather King Yudhishthira was a great soul. He congenially disposition attracted everyone. He congenially disposition attracted everyone as his friend, and therefore he was known as Ajanta Satru, one who never created an enemy. He engaged all the members of the Kuru dynasty in taking charge of different departments for the management of the Raja Surya sacrifice. For example, Bhishma Sena was put in charge of the kitchen department, Duryodhan in charge of the treasury department, Sahadev in charge of the reception department, Nakula in charge of the store department, and Arjuna was engaged in looking after the comforts of the elderly peasants. The most astonishing features was that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, took charge of washing the feet of all the incoming guests. The queen, the goddess of fortune, Drupadi, was in charge of administering the distribution of food, and because Karna was famous for giving charity, that is the Pandavas' firstborn, right? Ne, Prabhu?
Maybe Prabhu.
Karna. I think it's Kunti's child. Before she got married. Karna was famous for giving charity. He was put in charge of the charity department in this way. Satyaki Vikarna Hardikaya Vidura. The prime minister. Burisvar. How do you pronounce that? Burishvara. And Santardana, the son of Bahilika, were all engaged in different departments for managing the affairs of the Raja Surya sacrifice. They were also bound in loving affection of King Yudhishthira, that they simply wanted to please him. After Sishupala had died by the mercy of Lord Krishna and had become merged in the spiritual existence, and after the end of the Raja Surya Yagna. Oh, Shishupala, remember he was blaspheming Lord Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
I think, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah,
and then he got killed with that magic. What? Sorry, Prabhu.
Did you see what he said to Krishna?
Yeah, I think I remember the things that he was saying there. And Lord Krishna was like, no, leave him to say everything, because Lord Krishna already knew that it was his last day of living that day.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, he was in
Yes, I remember his pastime that is, they said if they see like the one, when someone meets him and the third eye closes, he's going to be the killer of the child.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, merged in the, okay, I think I was there, merged in the spiritual existence, and after the end of the Raja Surya Yagna, when all friends, guests, and well-wishers had been sufficiently honored and rewarded, King Yudhishthir went to bathe in the is it Ganga?
Yes, Prabhu.
The Ganga, the city of Hastinapur, is today standing on the bank of the Yamuna, and the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam that King Yudhishthira went to bathe in the Ganga indicates, therefore, that during the time of the Pandavas, the river Yamuna was also known as the Is it the Gangas? Is it Ganga or Gangs? Ganga.
Yes, Prabhu.
While while King Prabhu is just saying yes, I'm not sure which one is right there. while the king was taking the avabrata bath, different musical instruments such as mridangas, conch shells, drums, kettle drums, and burgles vibrated. In addition, the ankle bells of the dancing girls jingled. Many groups of professional singers played Venus flutes, gongs, and shambalas, and thus a tumultuous. Hey, Prabhu, this one. Tumulto. How do you say it, Prabhu? Tumultuous sound vibrated in the sky. The princely guests from many kingdoms like Srinjaya, Cambodia, Kuru, Kekaya, and Kaushala were present with their different flags and gorgeously decorated elephants. Elephants, chariots, horses, and soldiers all were passing in a procession and King Yudhishthira was in the forefront. The executive members, such as the priests, religion ministers, and brahmanas, were performing a sacrifice, and all were loudly chanting the Vedic hymns. The demigods, the inhabitants of the Pitraloka and Gandharva Loka, as well as many sages, showered from the sky with scents and floral oils, were nicely dressed in colorful garments and decorated with garlands, jewels, and ornaments. They were all enjoying the ceremony, and they threw on each other liquid substance like water, oil, milk, butter, and yogurt. Some even smeared these on each other's bodies. In this way, they were enjoying the occasion. The professional prostitutes were also engaged by jubilantly smearing these liquid substance. On the liquid substance had been mixed with turmeric and saffron, and the color was a lustrous yellow. In order to observe the great ceremony, many wives of the demigods had come in different airplanes, and they were visible in the sky. Similarly, the queens of the royal family arrived gorgeously decorated and surrounded by bodyguards on the surface on different palanquins. During this time, Lord Krishna, the maternal cousin of the Pandavas, and his special friend Arjuna were both throwing the liquid substance on the bodies of the queens. The queens became bashful, but at the same time, the beautiful smiling brightened their face because of the liquid substances thrown on their bodies. The saris covering them became completely wet. The different parts of their beautiful bodies, particularly the breast and the waist, became partially visible because of the wet cloth. The queens also brought in buckets of liquid substance and sprinkled them on the bodies of their brothers-in-law. As they engaged in such jubilant activities, their hair fell loose and the flowers decorating the bodies began to fall when Lord Krishna why did Duryodhana felt insulted? Krishna, Arjuna, and queens were thus engaged in the jubilant activities. Persons who were not clean in heart became agitated by lustful desires. In other words, such behavior between pure males and females is enjoyable, but persons who are materially contaminated became lustful. King Yudhishthira, in a gorgeous chariot yoked by excellent horses, was present with his queens, including Drupadi and others. The festivities of the sacrifice were so beautiful that it appeared as if Raja Surya was standing there in person with the functions of the sacrifice. Following the Raja Surya sacrifice, there was the Vedic ritualistic duty known as Patinisam Yagja. You Prabhu, pronounce for me, please.
This one? Patni
Yes,
Patni Samjaya. Samyaja. Patni Samyaja.
Patin, I'll see it,
Patni
Prabhu.
Samyaja.
Pati
Patni Samyaja.
Samyaja. This sacrifice was performed along with one's wife, and it was also duly performed by the priest of King Yudhishthira. When Queen Drupadi and King Yudhishthira were taking the Avabrata path, the citizens of Hastinapur as well as the demigods began to beat on drums and blow trumpets out of feelings of happiness, and there was a shower of flowers from the sky. When the king and the queen finished their bath in the Ganga, all the other citizens consisting of all the Varna or caste, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras took their bath in the Gangas. Bathing in the Gangas is recommended in the Vedic literatures because by such bathing one becomes freed from all sinful reactions. Prabhu, do we still have that river even in this age?
Yes, Prabhu.
Really? Like in India?
Yes, Prabhu. There it goes there. It's the biggest river in the world.
Yes, Prabhu, but then how come everything is in India? I don't understand this. Isn't there any other part of the world besides India where there's the pastimes of the Lord or something, some activity happening?
Yes, Prabhu. From Brazil, Lord Ramachandra took all the gold.
Oh, yes. And went back to India, right?
Is there some tunnel going from India to Brazil?
You see, India is always there, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. The tunnel goes to Amazon.
Oh, yes. Sri Lanka. I don't even know if it's a place or a person. Okay, sinful reactions. This is still current in India, especially at particularly auspicious moments. At such times, millions of people bath in the Ganges. After taking his bath, King Yudhishthira dressed in a new silken cloth and wrapper and decorated himself with valuable jewelry. The king not only dressed himself and decorated himself, but he also gave clothing. Where is it now? I lost my place. Clothing. Gave clothing and ornaments to all the priests and to the others who had participated in the yagna. In this way, they were all worshipped by King Yudhishthira. He constantly worshipped his friends, his family members, his relatives, his well-wishers, and everyone present. And because he was a great devotee of Lord Narayana, or because he was a Vaishnava, he therefore knew how to treat everyone well. The Mayavadi philosophers endeavor to see everyone as God is an artificial. So is he living? Haribol Prabhu. Artificial ways is an artificial way towards oneness, but a Vaishnava or a devotee of the Lord Narayana sees every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a Vaishnava's treatment of other living entities is on the absolute platform. Since one cannot treat one one part of his body differently from another part, because they all belong to the same body. So a Vaishnava does not see a human being as distinct from an animal, because in both of them he sees the soul and the super soul seated simultaneously. When everyone was refreshed after bathing and was dressed in silicon clothing with jeweled earrings, flower garlands, turbans, long wrappers, and pearl necklaces, they looked altogether like the demigods from heaven. This was especially true of the women, who were very nicely dressed. Each wore a golden belt around the waist. They were all smiling. Spots of tilak and curling hair were scattered here and there. This combination was very attractive. Persons who had participated in the Raja Surya sacrifice, including the most cultured priests, the Brahmanas who had assisted in the performance of the sacrifice, the citizens of all Varnas, kings, demigods, sages, saints, and citizens of the Pitraloka, were all very much satisfied by the dealings of King Yudhishthira, and at that end they happily departed from their residences. While returning to their homes, they talked of the dealings of King Yudhishthira, and even after continuous talk of his greatness, they were not satiated. Prabhu, I saw this in the Bhagavad Gita. What does it mean? Satiated. Satiated.
Or like satisfied.
At first, I thought Srila Prabhupada made a mistake, even though I know there is no, we don't say
It
the
means
spiritual
fully
master
satisfied,
made.
Prabhu.
What?
It means fully satisfied.
Okay, Prabhu. Because I thought they wanted to say situated.
No problem.
Okay. Just as one may drink nectar over and over again and never be satisfied. After the departure of all others, Maharaj Yudhishthira restrained the inner circle of his friends, including Lord Krishna, by not allowing them to leave. Lord Krishna could not refuse the request of the king. He therefore sent back all the heroes of the Yadu dynasty like Shamba and others. All of them returned to Dwarka, and Lord Krishna personally remained in order to give pleasure to the king. In the material world, everyone has a particular type of desire to be fulfilled, but one is never able to fulfill his desires to his full satisfaction. But King Yudhishthira, because of his unflinching devotion to Krishna, could fulfill all his desires successfully by the performance of the Rajasura Yagna. From the description of the execution of the Rajasuriya Yagna, it appears that such a function is a great ocean of opulent desires. It is not possible for an ordinary man to cross over such an ocean. Nonetheless, by the grace of Lord Krishna, King Yudhishthira was able to cross over it very easily, and thus he became freed from all anxieties. When Duryodhana saw that Maharaj Yudhishthira had become very famous after performance of the Rajasuriya Yagna, and was fully satisfied in every respect, he began to burn with the fire of envy, because his mind was always poisonous. For one thing, he envied the imperial palace which had been constructed by the demon Maya for the Pandavas. The palace was excellent in its puzzling, artistic workmanship, and was befitting the position of great princes, kings, or leaders of the demons. In that great palace, the Pandavas were living with their family members, and Queen Draupadi was serving her husbands very peacefully. And because in those days Lord Krishna was also there, and palace there, the palace was also decorated by his thousands of queens. When the queens were with the heavy breast and the thin waist moved within the palace, and the ankle bells rang very melodiously with their movements, the whole palace appeared to be more opulent than the heavenly kingdoms. Yeah, Prabhu, you can continue.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah, Prabhu, I think Duryodhana actually.
Again, I'm back.
But Prabhu,
Haribol.
but
He
Duryodhana.
was, I was saying Duryodhan. I think he was envious because he did not know of Pandu himself, that Pandu had to leave and go to do his penances, you see. So when he came back, he had kids, you see.
Hmm.
So he never said that they would go back. He wanted everything for himself because he was already living there, like at in Hastinapur, living a lavish life, you see.
Yes, Prabhu. But he wanted to.
So after Pandu died, the five Pandavas had to go back.
Yes, Prabhu. He tried to take the whole thing.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, let's see what happens to him. Because a portion of their breast was sprinkled with saffron powder, the pearl necklaces on their breast appeared to be reddish. With their full earrings and flowing hair, the queens appeared very beautiful. After looking at such beauties in the palace of King Yudhishthira, Duryodhana became envious. He became, so see, he wanted a woman actually.
Oh, yes, Prabhu.
He became especially envious and lustful upon seeing the beauty of Draupadi. Because he had cherished a
Mm.
special attraction for her from the very beginning of her marriage with the Pandavas. In the marriage selection assemble of Draupadi, Duryodhana had also been present, and with other princes, he had been very much captivated by the beauty of Draupadi, but had failed to achieve her. See, he was also in the marriage ceremony and he couldn't get Draupadi, so he had been envious.
Yeah, I remember he could not pick up, what do you call this, bow, a bow and arrow. They placed a heavy bow.
Yes, Prabhu, he was weak. He didn't go to the.
So the person who could pick it up was Karna, and I think it was, who is this, Yudhishthir, and Karna could not take the Durpati because they thought he was the chariot's child, but then they did not know that it was Kunti's child. Kunti abandoned him, and then he made the child live with the river while he was young.
Oh, yes, Yamuna.
The father, I think, was the sun god, something like that.
Yes, Prabhu. So once upon a time, King Yudhishthira. Oh, yes, what happened, Prabhu?
And I think Prabhu, Arjuna like could be stopped by only Karna because it was his brother,
Oh,
all
yeah.
like eldest brother.
Yes, Prabhu. That's that's true. Once upon a time, King Yudhishthira was sitting on the golden throne in the palace of constructed by the demon Maya. His four brothers and other relatives, as well as his great well-wisher, the supreme person of Godhead Krishna, were present, and the material opulence of King Yudhishthira seemed no less than that of Lord Brahma.
Prabhu, I'll be leaving you, Prabhu,
Oh yes, thank you
because I
so
want to
much.
finish. I've been sleeping actually late, and I've been waking up late, 4 o'clock. Today I woke up at 5 to 4.
Hmm.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Very cool.
Thank you so much for association and joining and
Thank
reading.
Thank you
you
so
for
much for
listening, Prabhu.
Yes, yes.
Mahabharat ki
Thanks for-
jai.
yeah,
Everything is
Jai.
Mahabharat now.
thanks for the
Yo, Prabhu, I'm
podcast.
in the war. It's not finishing off, eh? Bhaktajat Prabhu. Is he out?
Yes, Prabhu. He is distributing.
Yes, Prabhu Haribol.
Oh, Haribol. I was saying I'm at the war where they killed 10 sons of, who's this? Dhritarashtra and Gandhari.
Oh,
Yes, Prabhu.
so is I don't want to spoil.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, I won't ask any question. Otherwise, I will spoil.
Yes,
It's like
Prabhu.
spoiling a story which is 5,000 years old. It is quite ironic, huh?
Yes, Prabhu. Yo. I thank you for association, Prabhus.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Mm.
Question and
Haribo.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Haribol
So much
Prabhuji.
for your suggestion, Prabhu. Vidana Pranam Jai.
When he was sitting on the throne surrounded by his friends and the reciters were offering prayers to him in form of nice songs, Duryodhana with his younger brother came to the palace. Duryodhana was decorated with a helmet and he carried a sword in his hand. He was always in an envious and angry mood, and therefore, on a slight provocation, he spoke sharply with the doorkeepers and became angry. He was irritated because he failed to distinguish between water and land. By the craftsmanship of the demon Maya, the palace was so decorated in different places that one who did not know the tricks would consider water to be land and land to be water. Duryodhana was also illusioned by this craftsmanship, and when he was crossing water, thinking it to be land, he fell down. When Duryodhana, out of his foolishness, had thus fallen, the queens enjoyed the incident by laughing. King Yudhishthira could understand the feeling of Duryodhana, and he tried to restrain the queens from laughing. But Lord Krishna indicated that King Yudhishthira should not restrain them from enjoying the incident. Krishna desired that Duryodhana might be fooled in that way, that all of them might enjoy his foolish behavior. When everyone laughed, Duryodhana felt insulted, and his hair stood up in anger. Being thus insulted, he immediately left the palace, bowing his head. He was silent, and he did not protest. When Duryodhana left in such an angry mood, everyone regretted the incident, and King Yudhishthira also became very sorry. But despite all occurrences, Krishna was silent. He did not say anything against or in favor of the incident. It appears that Duryodhana had been put into illusion by the supreme will of Lord Krishna, and this was the beginning of the enmity between the two sects of the Kuru dynasty. It appears that it was a part of Krishna's plan in his mission to decrease the burden of the world. King Parikshit had inquired from Shukadev Goswami as to why Duryodhana was not satisfied after the termination of the great Rajasuya sacrifice, and thus it was explained by Shukadev Goswami. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 20th chapter of Krishna. Why Duryodhana felt insulted at the end of the Rajasuya sacrifice.
Whoa.
Okay, so tomorrow we read chapter 21.
So Prabhupada says that we what to say? Uh, we have to we have to desire only for Krishna because here Arjuna was desiring the Rajasuya sacrifice and their kingdoms, and after because of that the Narada Muni will tell that for the Yudhishthira that you are you will face uh, some difficulties in future.
Yes, Prabhu.
uh, then they will go to the forest, like what we say, um, for 13 years,
Yeah.
ex that they will go. Prabhupada says, so we are in Krishna consciousness, we are only desire for Krishna. In all we keep Krishna in center. So it is we have to see.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that's true.
We want to desire anything about expect Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
That I read in Mahabharata. So
So next one is the battle between Shalva and the members of the Yadu dynasty. Okay, now let's read six Astakam prayers. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha davagninirvapanam Sreyah Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatarpita Niyamita Smaranina Kalaha Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordeva Midrisham Yajnina Nuragaha.
प्रणनादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना मानेन मानदेन कीर्तनेन सदा हरिः
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुजकिङ्करं पतितं मम विषमे भवम्बुधो कृपया तव परपङ्कजा स्थितधुलिसदृशं विचिन्तय
नयनं गलदाश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदुर्दया गिरा पुलकैर्निचिन्तं वपु कदा तव नामग्रहणे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविर्ष्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे
आशिष्यवपदरतं पिनष्टु मदर्शनं मम मतं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदततुलं पतो मत्प्रणदतस्तु सैवनपारः
Ribo. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me wrongly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally.
Haribo, Shri Jai Ki Jai.
First
As very
offense.
devotees who dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense to
Consider.
consider. Oh, please
Yes,
continue,
go,
please.
go.
Go on, Prabhu, go on. Go on, Prabhu, you can.
Okay, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third one, to disobey the orders of spiritual master and to consider an ordinary person.
To blaspheme the Vedic literatures, or Vedic scriptures, or scriptures in persons to the Vedic version.
To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
Haribo.
Sixth one, to what is that? To to use mundane interpretation to holy name of the Lord.
Commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name.
Number 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas, fruitive activities, Karma Kanda.
to instruct the faithless persons about the glories of the holy name.
Do not have complete faith and to maintain materialistic attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna
Krishna pray. Haribo.
Prema.
Vantakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
and the Gaudiya Vaishnavinda ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki
Jai,
jai, Govinda
Jai,
Jai.
ki
Haribo.
jai.